What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fanatically Speaking. I'm Kent.
I'm Logoff. I'm the Logoff legend. And we're here to say everything that every fan is thinking, but louder and probably a little crazier. Get ready. This is Fanatically Speaking with Kent and Logoff. You know what's funny? Like, I'm not a social media hater. I'm a social media hater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want people to think that I get on the internet and start hating people on social media. That's not what I do.
The first half was absolutely horrible. You know, just inept offense, inept defense, special teams, you name it.
I'm going to turn into Oprah. Why were you so angry?
He sucks this season. This game, whatever's going on, right? And the very next pitch, guess what they do? They double homer, and he's like, "Told you, Dad. Why are you always knocking down people?"
You got the highs and the lows.
Yeah, so I do that.
You need the highs and the lows, and
so I do that. Yeah, but
I'm trying to be the voice of reason here.
I am what I am.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fanatically Speaking. I'm Kent, the co-host and promoter.
I am Logoff, the Logoff legend, the hater of all things social media. I am the co-host and producer of the show.
Yes. And today's episode, we are hitting on some current event hot topics. Three guys who are, I would say, legends. And they've got some decisions to make. Their organization's got some decisions to make. Or they've already made the decision, and we want to hit on them.
Yeah, we do, and you're right. I think all of these guys are well respected. All three of them, and we were actually talking about this a little bit before we kicked off the recording. All three of them fully respected, take their sports incredibly serious, their careers incredibly serious, and are. I think it's fair to say team first guys. You think that's fair to say?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Oh,
okay.
For sure.
Yeah, team first guys, hard workers, just like so. And we'll stop bearing the lead. Who do you want to start off with? Because I think we can go in any direction with this. So we can start off with whoever you like.
Let's just start with Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Sure. Let's start with Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yep. Because I think we'll lead into the more juicier one. Because it's a whole nut.
No, let's go. No, let's do it.
But yeah, Giannis, it had been talking all season, probably for the last year or so. The Bucks, are they going to trade Giannis? Does he want out? And he stayed pretty loyal. You know, he stayed with that team. He was proud of himself with the Bucks, leading them to a championship, the team that drafted him. He said he doesn't want to go join super teams, things like that. And he's been a man of his word. But sometimes it comes to a point where the organization just isn't going anywhere. And it's just not, you're kind of wasting a superstar's career. And it's not helped to get Doc Rivers. It didn't help getting Damian Lillard. And then this year, we talked about it at the beginning. What did we think the Bucks were going to do? They had Miles Turner, Cole Anthony. They went out and got Kyle Kuzma last year, and it's really not helped. Now we find Giannis on the shelf. He's going to be out in probably a month. And this happened immediately after the story came out that they were pretty much talking about working out a deal, figuring out his future.
Yeah, and so when you talk about figuring out his future, there were some theories and, concepts that had been kind of thrown around. Whether or not he was demanding a trade, whether or not he was requesting a trade. Head coach Doc Rivers came out and said that Giannis had not, demanded a trade. He put that on the record. And then, like you said, immediately after those reports and everything come out, he goes down with a non-contact injury that, if we're going to be honest, looked a little suspect. It didn't look like a normal injury, which I think kind of adds fuel to the fire. But the interesting thing that I've always heard now, and I actually like this about the NBA, no secret, I love the NBA. Basketball, favorite sport, I love it. But it's got more conspiracies around it than any other sport. Like a lot of conspiracies. And it seems like there's always a hidden story or a hidden something behind what's taking place with a story that comes out or, some spat between players or organizations. And the interesting thing is I want to see Giannis do well. And he's always one of those guys, and I've actually heard Charles Barkley say this. He gives 100% effort. Two guys, Russell Westbrook and Giannis, always give 100% effort every night. They're not out there half-assing it as players. They don't cheat the fans in that regard. So I'd like to see Giannis do well. I don't know where I want him. I don't know if the Bucks are actually going to move him. I don't know what type of trade packages they'll get for him. But, having him injured complicates things further. But I feel like the injury actually serves him a benefit because it gives a stretch of time for teams to be able to actually put forth packages together. So if they're going to make a trade with the Bucks, the Bucks may be able to get the best offer.
Yeah, I think right now it's like way early, even though probably any team would be ready to jump at the chance to get Giannis. But then some of the teams they've named, some of the players, it's like, do you want to mess up the chemistry of your team? Again, even though it's getting Giannis, it could possibly get Giannis on your team. But I think that month will, like you said, give the teams chances to get their packages together, but also see where their team's at. A whole nother month, first of the year, closer to that trade deadline. They'll be about a month away from the deadline at that point. So there again, mid-season is normally when teams make trades, when you're talking about, okay, where are we at, where are we going? You'll have a better idea of who's in contention and is our team working, is it not working, and can we add Giannis, not for this season, but for the future too.
All right, and I'm going to push back a little bit on something you said. If I'm trading for Giannis, I don't give a shit about chemistry. Go get that guy. We'll figure that out later. I don't want to hear anything about team chemistry. And he is such a high-level talent that you can't, even if you do feel like it's going to obliterate your team chemistry, having him in your locker room, having him on your team is a much greater benefit as a basketball team, as we know that one dominant player can shift the face of it changes the trajectory of your franchise for the next, 5 to 7 years. Yeah. As he did for Milwaukee. And he developed into that. He was a skinny kid coming into the league, dude.
Oh, yeah, nobody knew.
He started playing basketball late.
Yeah.
Like he's rounded out into a super, super high-end player. And the other thing is, I think one of the bigger questions is, are you going to be able to trade for Giannis and not take his brother with him? Is he going to have his brother on the team too?
I don't know he has to.
I mean, from what I've seen,
I don't know that.
Has he played a season without his brother being on the roster ever?
I'm not sure, but I don't know, man. And I don't know if they've got the LeBron-Bronny relationship.
From what I've seen and from what I've heard is Thanasis, who we all know not to be a great basketball player. He keeps getting some NBA contracts, man. He stays on that Bucks roster.
It might be,
so
he don't cost a lot. So I mean, why not? If you get I get it. Mean, if you get Giannis, I don't think the other team cares.
Fair enough. But still a roster spot.
Yeah, but he's the.
And if you're a team that is legitimately trying to compete for a championship, that roster spot could matter.
It doesn't. He
could
be the 15th guy.
I mean, okay, I'll give you that. But we'll see. We see a lot of teams where when you look at teams that win championships, they are complete.
Yeah.
The only reason that 14th and 15th guy could be there is because 1 through 13 is super strong. So just to kind of put a bow on this, I know you've heard some of the rumors about where he's talking about being traded. We talked about there was some rumblings about him being traded to the Knicks. That was actually last year. So there's some rumblings about the Knicks wanting to make some moves. Have you heard anything that interests you, or do you have a team in mind that you would like to see Giannis play for?
So I've seen some of the mock trade ideas, right? They've come out, and it's Atlanta, it's New York. They've named the Spurs because again, you have to and the Warriors because you have to have the capital.
And I'm sorry, you said the Warriors?
That was one. Yeah, I've seen that. I'm trying to think. I think there was a fifth one, and I'm just drawing a blank at the moment on it.
And these were all just projections. These are all just hypotheticals.
These are like the Rockets.
Okay.
And again, some of these teams are having to give up a star player that they have now. Some it's draft picks. Obviously, is going to be huge in any Giannis deal. I mean, you're probably And again, we go back to why the Bucks would make this deal. One, the franchise at the moment's going nowhere. They don't hold any of their own first round picks for like the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And they are really strapped with the salary cap. They have not done a good job financially to set their team up for success to sign. Even though they did sign Miles Turner, they really probably shouldn't have, but they did. And that and again, and
that's the thing. It's been poor management, and then of course the Dame contract.
Yes.
You know, they were able to get Dame and trade him to Portland, but there's still a salary cap offset. I want to say it's something to the tune of like $20 million a year spread out against the Milwaukee Bucks cap throughout the rest of the life of the contract just to get him out of the building. So there's dead cap hits, and this is where I was saying the stuff about his brother. This is where this stuff matters, because not only are you taking up a roster spot, that's an extra $20 million that you can't pay somebody else.
Yeah. But Thanasis, he ain't taking up that. Like I said, I don't see the. I'm just not that concerned about it. I mean, only because again, can you name the number 15th guy in the NBA team and tell me what he does besides cheer?
No, I can't. But when you're a serious NBA franchise, and it's funny that you said that, because there were two key teams, that I had in mind that you didn't even mention. All right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them is the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
And I love that move because we were talking about serious NBA franchises.
For sure.
Name one that's more serious. Pat Riley does not play those games. And I think him coming in, I think he embodies, there's a lot of Heat culture talk and, just how serious they are as a basketball franchise and all that. But the one thing they do is they draft incredibly well and they develop talent. And they are creative enough in that front office to where they can make these types of moves to trade for a player like that. Obviously, the best example was, the Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron, super team.
Right.
But the other thing is when we talk about a team that it's easy to just make the trade, the easiest team to make that trade is OKC.
Oh yeah.
We've had the conversation before about as talented as they are and the great chemistry that they have as a team. But they've got great players on great contracts, and they've got every NBA pick for the next 5 years.
I know.
That Milwaukee would love to have. So they could write up a draft sheet right now. I'm sorry, they could write up a trade sheet right now and send it over to Milwaukee and say, you're never going to get anything better than this. And just think about it. You could give up Chet Holmgren, who's similar to Giannis in a lot of ways lengthwise, just length, height, defensive, not as great as the offensive player, not as dominant, but he's got a lot of upside. Throw him into it. Throw in some of those other guys and throw in some picks. You get Giannis and you pair him with the rest of that squad that are all serious about playing basketball. And, I mean, people think the OKC is scary now. Put Giannis on that team.
Yeah, when you were saying earlier about chemistry, I was gonna bring up OKC. That obviously we talked about them. They have all these picks, but would they want to mess up that? But they got their championship. But then it is that chemistry. Like, would they make that trade to say we have a good thing going? We have this deep roster of talent. But I would, and I'm sorry, I'll go back to it. The Miami Heat as well was one that I thought of as well because they're always involved in big names, right? So my take on
their name is in every big trade.
And I agree with you. I would trade Chet Holmgren for Giannis in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
And those 2 first-rounders this year. I would give them, we got this. Oh, yeah, trade them to Milwaukee. Don't need them.
It's a haul.
Yeah, so the Thunder Heat, I think, are 2 teams definitely would be involved in this. Because here's what I think of 2, though. If Giannis is going to get traded, he's going to have a say where he goes. And we can bring up the Atlanta Hawks, and we can bring up some other teams. I don't think Giannis goes to – I think he's going to need to be traded to an organization that knows how to win, that is, well run, like the Miami Heat. So when you start talking about teams like that, because I saw something about the Charlotte Hornets, right? It's like Giannis is not coming to Charlotte. You know what I mean? Even though they could put together probably a pretty good package with picks and young players. But again, probably not as good as package as these other teams. But again, when you talk about teams and organizations, of all those teams we just named, when you go from ownership to management to culture, you're going to talk. Then you are talking Miami Heat, OKC, San Antonio, and probably Golden State. Those 4. I don't even put Houston in that. Do you agree? I mean, do you agree with that? That I don't think you just trade Giannis to the team that has the best offer. I don't think you do Giannis that way. If you're going to mutually decide, hey, this is best, the next team he plays for, I think, has to be a well-run organization. You're not sending Giannis to Charlotte. You're not sending Giannis to New Orleans, Washington. You know what I mean?
I know. I'm a pro player guy. Okay, I exude that. It comes out of my pores. I don't give a shit where Giannis wants to go, man. He doesn't have a no trade clause. If I'm the Bucks, we just went over how this situation is screwed.
Yeah.
Their organization has not been run well since they won their championship. It has not been run well.
For sure.
They kept a lot of older guys. They kept I feel like Lopez played on that team for a decade. It hasn't been run well for them to be able to have growth in the future. Giannis was their centerpiece. We knew that. But when it comes to what's best for my organization, I got to take the best deal. I got to take the best players, and I got to take the best packages. And that just comes down to, I really say I hate to say it comes down to draft picks, but it does. Because anything can happen with the player that's in the league. You need that potential. Draft picks are cash in a lot of ways. Where a current player on your roster or a current player that you trade for is somebody that's on credit, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that's a fair comparison. But what I would do is, if I'm Milwaukee, I go to him and say, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move you. I don't know where we're going to trade you to, but we're going to re-up for another deal. He's got 3 years left on his deal. 28, 29, he's an unrestricted free agent.
Okay.
So starting next year, he can sign an extension. I sign him to an extension that's negotiated with another team and move him. So that way he's locked in, he gets all his money, his contract's guaranteed, and you can move him somewhere where you can get the best package. Now, I don't see a bad team just trading for him.
No.
We don't see horrible franchises trading for superstars. So it would be someone who is a competitor to be able to compete for a championship. We saw it with Phoenix. Phoenix competed for a championship for a couple of years, and then they're like, let's make the KD move, and it didn't work out. So give me...
But like Atlanta.
Give me the best deal.
Atlanta.
I don't see Atlanta making that move. I don't think they've got enough.
Well,
There's too many other good teams I mean, I could see Boston making that move. If I'm Boston, I'm kicking in every door I can to get Giannis.
They should, but they want to cut. They're trying to cut salary. But Atlanta, what I've heard is, and again, the Bucks, they'll take on expiring contracts too, because then that sheds cap. So the Atlanta package that I saw was, obviously they own the Pelicans' first-round pick, because the Pelicans make bad trades. And that could end up being could end up being the top pick. The whole Derek Queen trade last year's draft. They moved up 8 spots and gave up this year's first-round pick. So, a Trae Young, Porzingis, that pick, and some other first-round picks. Now, again, the Thunder have some really good picks, too. The Spurs have good picks and young talent. Those 3 teams have really good – they could put together a really good package. When you're talking draft picks plus talent. Because I don't think the Bucks are just going to take picks. Like, they're going to need, hey, give me a reason – give our fan – they're going to have to do a rebuild, but expiring contracts, a young player or a Trae Young who only has a few years left, and then the draft picks.
All right, and so sports business nerd comes out. Of course, you can't just trade for picks.
No.
And we talked about this before. Mm-hmm. The salaries have to match. The money has to match.
Yeah.
And even though picks have a value, they don't have the value of a $40-50 million contract. So when you look at the Hawks, who are the highest paid players on that team?
They're going to trade.
And the highest paid player that I'm sorry,
Trae Young, right?
There you go. So when you're looking at that roster and you're looking at who makes what, their second highest player is Kristaps Porzingis.
And again, he's expiring.
There you go. Expiring. You got Jalen Johnson. Yeah, yes. So it helps. But the other thing you just said is you want a player that's got talent. I mean, people. I think people thought that Kristaps Porzingis would have been what Giannis turned into. I remember New York people. Yeah. KP's going to be, and then he turned out. Bleh. But it's a hard conversation. We'll have to see how things play out. But for me, if I'm the Bucks, I take the best that I can get. You got to give me something. You got to give me something that works for me for the next 5 to 10 years, that I'm able to turn this franchise around. It ain't about Giannis. He's got his championship. He's got his contracts. He's got his money, and he has a reputation that is respected. That is hard. He's got all 3 of those things. He stuck it out as long as he could, and I don't have a problem with him leaving. But I can't just take a bad deal just to make him feel better so that he goes someplace that he's happy. I can't do that.
It's taking a bad deal. And normally I agree with you that the team, especially when guys like Kevin Durant, James Harden demand trade every year. When they start, they come up and do that, then I am all about the team saying, look, I'm going to trade you wherever I want to trade you. I think this is a little bit different. I think Giannis has earned a little bit of respect from Milwaukee Bucks to not just send him to anywhere, and they still get a good deal. But I know,
I agree with you.
I know what you mean.
And I don't see him. And like I said, just to be clear, I don't see them trading him to a bad franchise.
No,
I just don't.
No.
I see them trading him to a competitive franchise that has the ability to compete for a championship with that acquisition of Giannis. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it, just visually. And as I'm thinking about it, I don't think they would do that.
I think one more thing. I'm just gonna say, the more I think about that OKC, again, I would make that trade like I said, in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
They've got one loss right now. They might go undefeated if they had Giannis. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And just think about it, dude. Like he could play. He could play 28 minutes a game
because he
like just crazy stats, crazy metrics. They're so deep.
A Giannis SGA combination, man, is
illegal.
It is deadly. Because like you said, Chet Holmgren is a good player. I'm not gonna, he's not a superstar. I don't know what you call him, But yeah, you switch out him and Giannis, and yeah, just forget about it. OKC's already unstoppable.
It's fun.
And Giannis, I want them to do it.
Yeah, it's and by the way, I love this. It's fun to think about, man. We'll see how things play out, and if I'm OKC, I get on the phone.
Oh yeah,
and I give them. I say, listen, take what you want. You know who we're not going to give up. They're not going to give up SGA. No. I don't see them giving up one of the Jalen's. Nope. But I think Chet's absolutely on the table.
Chet, I think the Bucks would be happy with Chet, and again, they have 2 possible lottery picks from other teams this season, and then whatever else picks they have. So, and again, if you ever trust a team to make a trade and it work out, it's the OKC Thunder. This person that we're going to talk about next is in a situation, and his name's come up in the past few years as well, about switching teams, being fired. So it's not a player, it's a coach. And again, in the news lately is Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, and do you mind if I lead off on this?
Go for it.
Can I go first on this one? Full disclosure, before the season started, and I have the proof, I said to you, do you remember what I said about the Steelers' record?
Well, you said it would be below.
And I got laughed at.
You said that it would be below 500 for the first time in Tomlin's career.
In Mike Tomlin's career. I said this before the season
started. And that's
started.
out of your hate for Aaron Rodgers.
it was mostly fueled by my Aaron Rodgers hatred, yes. And by the way, we talked about it in the last episode. Like, this is what Aaron Rodgers does. Aaron Rodgers, he could take a blowtorch to your locker room, throwing people under the bus. He doesn't like to take accountability for the things that he messes up. That's neither here nor there. But I kind of felt, and I saw this coming. And this is where I'm going to try to be careful about how I frame this, because these type of topics bother me in a lot of ways. A head coach with the resume of Mike Tomlin shouldn't be disrespected in the manner to where they grasp at the straws, they bring in Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Fame level quarterback, with an injury history into that historic franchise. He gets injured. Their season starts, it looks as if right now it's going to, go downhill. But the thing that bothers me the most is that the second he slips, now they want to get rid of him. Name a more stable organization that you would want, if you were a fan, that you would want. The Steelers have a competitive chance every single year. And then the second they slip up, it's like, oh, we got to get a new coach. Who are you going to get better than Mike Tomlin? Who are you going to get? And not only who are you going to get that's better than Mike Tomlin? Who are you going to get that's going to fix all the issues that you have with your roster? Who are you going to get that's going to make you more competitive in a crazy competitive division? Who else are you going to get that's going to fix the problems that exist within the Steelers locker room and win games on the field? To me, it would be a bad, short-sighted decision. And I feel like it's one of these things that's talked about because it's so controversial. Like, it's such a lightning rod of a discussion that I feel like the only reason that it's brought up is because it has some strong talking points to it. I don't think it's legitimate. There's nothing other than the speculation that says that the Steelers want to move on from Mike Tomlin. By the way, who is their third head coach in that franchise's entire history?
Yeah.
Like, it's dumb. Like, he's not. I mean, we've talked about this, dude. We've been getting rid of Mike McDaniels in Miami for weeks, and he still has a job. Now, the Dolphins are playing a little bit better, but we all know that he's not a great head coach. Tomlin's a great head coach. Yeah. And you guys want to get rid of him for who, for what, for why? Make it make sense to me, Kent. Please, I'm lost on this.
like I mentioned, it's come up the past probably few years. And there's been times where I kind of get on board and I'll be like, maybe it is time. Sometimes teams, franchises need a new voice. But as you mentioned, you got to, like, where are you going to find a better coach than Mike Tomlin? Again, never having a losing record. But I forgot how many years now, though, in a row. It might be get close to like 10 that they ain't even won like a playoff game. So you got to say, okay, historical franchise, and you're kind of not 500, but you're average, right?
Yeah.
So is it time for a new voice? Is it time for a new just direction? I don't, I'm not saying it is, but the talk is the talk, right? And especially every time they have a lot of talent, so every time they're not playing as well as they should, then it goes to the coach. Why is the defense this way? Why are they not winning? Whatever. Now, again, give Tomlin credit. Since Roethlisberger, they have rotated quarterbacks almost like the Cleveland Browns, right? They try to plug people in there, Mason Rudolph, and then they've had their Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, now Aaron Rodgers. And I'm sure I'm missing somebody they had in the past. I think in the offseason they were looking at Sam Darnold. I don't think that would have helped them. So I will say this, though. So Adam Schefter put out this week, kind of after all the discussion on the morning shows and during the week, that the Steelers are not going to fire Mike Tomlin, but they have a decision to make next year. After the season contract, he has 2 years remaining on it, 26 and a team option in 27. So they have to decide whether to pick up his option by March 1st. So they'll have meetings, all that fun stuff. I'm in agreement, and I think Rex Ryan said it on Get Up. If Mike Tomlin, the Steelers decide to move on, he will have a job tomorrow. And that's what we're saying. We're having a fun conversation saying, should they, shouldn't they? And if they do, then where would be a good spot? Where would it be a good spot for Mike Tomlin? And right now, the current openings are going to be the New York Giants, the Tennessee Titans, right? And if I'm missing somebody, I apologize. I think those are the two teams that have fired coaches during the season. If we look at the Steelers, I'm going to look at the Steelers' record, and then I'm going to go look to see if there are any other teams. So the Steelers are 6-6. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And they still have the Dolphins. Let's see. Oh, they have the Ravens. I'm sorry. Then they have the Dolphins. Then they have the Lions, the Browns, and the Ravens again. The Dolphins should be a win. The Browns is a divisional game. It's going to be at Cleveland. So who knows what Cleveland Browns team you get, what defense comes from that team. And then again, the two Ravens games are going to be a battle. That could be either. I don't think they win both of them. I think they split it or they lose both. And I don't think they're beating Detroit.
I didn't want to interrupt you,
no, you're
man.
Good.
I don't. To me, it doesn't matter if they lose every single game the rest of the year. Let's say they L the rest of the season. You still don't get rid of Tomlin.
Yeah.
To me, Tomlin. Okay, and you are from a basketball perspective. I know you love your Hornets. You're a Spurs fan.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Tomlin is in Greg Popovich territory.
Yeah.
As an NFL coach, it's harder to win games in the NFL
Yeah.
than it is in the NBA. Period. But I'm just going to rattle off something about Greg Popovich because we ain't never heard this shit about somebody getting the Spurs getting rid of Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich had to have a stroke in order for him to step down as the head coach. They haven't won a championship since 2014. Last time the Spurs won a championship. Yeah. This is their resume since that championship. 2015, lost in the first round. 2016, conference semifinals, lost in that. 17, lost to the conference finals. 18, lost in the first round. 19, lost in the first round. And then every year since then, they've missed the playoffs. And no one said get rid of Greg Popovich. Why? Because you knew that dude was great. Yeah. You knew that he was the linchpin within your organization. And to get rid of him would have been blasphemous. And that was a gentleman that we know is much longer in the tooth. He was an older man. And you never heard, hey, let's just get rid of Greg Popovich. Now, of course, Popovich won way more championships, and he coached, but he also had way better players. I think the problem that Mike Tomlin has is that he has mastered the art of getting the best out of what he has while being above mediocre. And it's unfortunately, it's going to work to his detriment in a lot of people's eyes. To me, I'm like, I would love to have a team that's competitive every year. So you have one bad year and now you're going to get rid of the dude? Like, it's dumb. And I'll say this, like, there's been some years where they've missed the playoffs. I get it. But I mean, I'm looking at it since 2014, just random year, because I'll pick 2014 because that's the same as Spurs, as Popovich. Yeah. Okay. So so that 1, 2, 3. I mean, they've made the playoffs 8 years since 2014. Mm-hmm. Like they've made the playoffs. They may miss it this year, so they've had a shot. It's hard to make the playoffs, man. Yeah. We see good teams and good franchises miss the playoffs all the time, and this guy keeps them competitive. Without a quarterback.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, after Ben Roethlisberger, they should have fallen off a cliff. It's hard to find good starting quarterback talent, and when teams have them, they don't give them up. I get it, and he's still able to find ways to win games. So even if they were to lose out the rest of the year, go ahead. You know what, Steelers, if y'all want to get rid of him, if y'all want to try something else, good luck. Because you're not going to find somebody as solid and as consistent as Mike Tomlin is, and everybody wants to get ring happy, and they want their team to be in the championship every year. Only one team can win a Super Bowl every year. And they're in a stacked AFC, and he's playing in the AFC during the Mahomes regime. Yeah. Come on, man. Like, it's not going to happen. Yeah. Like, it's hard. It's tough. Everybody's going to take L's, but I'm sick of hey, let's rush to fire guys. And it's like, okay, well, you're going to fire. Hey, I got a nice car that runs, not the best car in the world, but it's got some decent miles on it. My tires are good. The engine's running great. And it's like, oh, okay, you're going to sell that car and go get what?
Yeah, I would compare it to, when the Eagles got rid of Andy Reid. And Tomlin obviously has been in Pittsburgh longer. But the one good thing, like I said, I agree with everything you said. I'm not saying to get rid of Tomlin. He's never flamed out. Like, Andy Reid crashed out in Philly. Like, it got bad. Like, it just flamed out, crashed. And then they were like, okay, it's time. Belichick flamed out, crashed in New England. Ego got in the way with ownership, things like that. I don't see that with Tomlin and the Steelers. I'm like I said, I agree 100% with you. It's fun to think about if they would let him go, and then what team would be best. Like I said, because I know like it would be in a minute, in a heartbeat. Like the next day, someone like would hire him as their head coach. Yeah, I don't think the Steelers have a coaching problem. I think they have getting the right talent problem. Like the GM or whoever is making these decisions, why are you not going out and getting a younger quarterback? Why didn't you draft Shedeur Sanders? Why didn't you, you know what I mean? Like things like that. Like, and I know he has a say in it, but it is kind of like, okay, you got to get a quarterback to win in this league. You can have this defense. You gotta, like I said before, you got to have more than one receiver. So, add in Thielen. Let's see if that helps them the rest of the year. And again, yeah, I'll take it every day. Being competitive, being around a winning record, you'll take that every year. You'll take that because, again, like I said, he makes something out of nothing. And again, like Schefter said, they're not going to fire him. He's got at least a year, 2 years left. So we're just, a lot of times this stuff comes up and it's something to talk about. I figured we would join the party and talk about it. They gotta fill airtime on the network, so it helped.
It's just talking points,
and it helps us, and it helps us on this episode of our podcast. So
it does, and I'll end it on this because you you typically don't have Freudian slips like this. I don't think you could have used a worse name than Andy Reid. That was a horrible. Because Andy Reid only had one bad year at the end in Philly, one bad year,
flamed out though,
and then the Eagles moved on. Hold on, again, still one bad year left, and then promptly after leaving the Eagles and going to Kansas City, made the playoffs 2 out of the first 3 years. And then all he did was win his division every year since 2016, go to 5 Super Bowls and win 3.
I think but it could be I think it is a good comparison, because if the Steelers would be like Philly and get rid of Tomlin, it could be great for Tomlin. He could go to a franchise and turn them around and have the run of Andy Reid. Like, again, you put Tomlin on you put him on the New York Giants, coaching that team. The talent the young talent.
I understand
what I'm saying? A team like that, if the Steelers would be dumb enough to get rid of Tomlin, he could go on that run.
And that's the key. Because if Andy Reid didn't leave the Eagles in shame,
right?
He didn't leave the Eagles in shame. The Tomlin one feels differently. And again, like I said, if the Steelers get rid of him, if the Steelers move on from him, fine. Mm-hmm. It will be the dumbest mistake that they made.
Oh yeah,
because I could see him going somewhere. You let your riches leave the door, walk out the door, and go somewhere else, and enrich someone else and turn someone else around. And by the way, I mean, I would like that. That's a Cinderella story for me, man. If that dude ends up going to the Giants and makes New York football relevant, dude. I mean, imagine if he turned the Jets around.
Yeah.
Oh. Imagine if he turned the Jets.
They need a quarterback, though. So.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, if he's able to turn things around, it would be incredible. So, I mean, we'll have to see. Nobody thought Mahomes was going to turn into this. So Andy Reid got lucky in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But,
the Chiefs weren't good, and they made immediately made the trade for Alex Smith. Again, went and got a quarterback. And then again, drafted Mahomes and then pulled him to the side and was like, "Yeah, man, we're gonna take this young kid and just destroy everybody in the playoffs for the next decade." So yeah, I mean, good for them, man. I hope that things works out well for Tomlin. I really do. That would be a great. And I think it's it. I don't think he's going anywhere, but yeah,
let's see. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Let's talk about CP3.
Yes, back to the NBA and that great I don't even know. Well, they're not a great franchise, but CP3, Chris Paul is a legend.
Yes, Chris Paul is a legend, one of the greatest point guards of all time. And so, how are we going to describe this? Because the Clippers sent him home from a game. There's all these reports and. Again, it's a lot of speculation, which seems to be commonplace in the NBA, where there's not really a concrete, hey, this is exactly what happened. Here are the facts that we know. We know that Chris Paul has not played a lot for the Clippers. We know that Chris Paul has not been playing well for the Clippers. And we know that there was a report that came out. I believe it was Chris Haynes. I think I sent that to you. Chris Haynes reported that he had requested to have some conversations with Ty Lue, their head coach, who, by the way, who is quietly was implicated in another gambling scandal, but somehow, he can still coach the team. It's weird.
He's connected to everybody that was involved in that scandal. A lot of those guys.
Everybody that was involved in that scandal, and they just allow him to stand on the sideline and coach those games like nothing ever happened. But He requested a conversation with Ty Lue, and that was rejected based on the reports. And then they ended up sending Chris Paul home
In the middle of the night.
Those are facts. Those are facts that we know.
Like 2 o'clock in the morning, right? 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, 3 a.m. in the morning. They from Atlanta sent him home. So now Chris Paul is one of those players that has a reputation of taking the basketball craft very seriously. I respect that because we see a lot of guys disrespect the NBA in a lot of ways, and I'll give credit to Michael Jordan. You know, he says it that, you know, he feels like he's from a different era where he wanted to go out, and that one guy that's way up in the 300 section that hates his guts, that's the guy way up there that he wants to shut up. I feel like Chris Paul is like that in a lot of ways, where this is something that he loves, and he has a passion for the sport that is rare for a small point guard like that. We saw how he's turned franchises around. We saw what he did at OKC. It was amazing. I want to see how this thing is going to play out. It stinks that he announces that this is going to be his last season, and then within a matter of days, this is what comes out about him. When you saw the news, what was kind of your first reaction? Like, what hit you the hardest when you caught this about CP3?
That, again, the Clippers are involved in something negative this season.
That doesn't really have to do with basketball.
Well, it does and it doesn't, right? It's how Chris Paul went to the Clippers because I think he knew it was going to be his last season. He had a lot of success there, so he wanted to end with the franchise that we could probably say he had the most success, right? Some may argue, New Orleans.
That's fair.
But the Clippers was the one where he.
I mean, yeah. Listen. No, if you could say, I would say that Chris Paul is the greatest Clipper ever.
Yeah, I mean, he made that franchise relevant along, But so when you say they just sent him home because they can't, they can release him, they can't trade him yet, so they still have him. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of disrespectful. And I know we talked about, well, did he request it? Did this happen? Did this? Blah, blah, blah. But to do a guy like that, and we talk about a franchise, and we talk about respecting legends and guys what they've done for your franchise, it kind of struck me too that they would do Chris Paul this way. But like you said, they're standing behind Ty Lue, and they're standing behind Kawhi Leonard. It is kind of
they are
through scandal, and Chris Paul is just trying to say, "Hey guys, he may not be producing on the court, but again, he's a 40-some-year-old point guard. So we know that that his time is done.
Yeah, with bad knees,
we know that his time is coming up, right? But
yes,
the way this franchise has been this year, and he's been there, and he's probably seen firsthand the outcome or the fallout from the scandal with Kawhi, all the rumors about that. But think about this too. Like you said, coming from another era, different type of player. Think about Chris Paul. These guys weren't on the team when he was a Clipper. He comes back, and he's with Kawhi, play every other game Leonard, and James Harden. who
yes.
James Harden is balling, and I've never questioned James Harden's effort, maybe on defense, but he's balling, you know what I mean? But we all, again, like I always said, though, how are you going to win with guys who are losers? Like James Harden, again, he doesn't win. You're a franchise who's never won. And, again, CP3's kind of in that category again. But, again, at least I respect his game, right? I mean, he plays the game on both ends of the court. He's a leader, and he was trying to give some advice. And there was another video I saw recently, and I didn't tell you about this earlier, and it was someone was videoing a practice, and James Harden, Chris Paul's talking. And I think it was Chris Paul wanting to tell James Harden they wanted to name the play. Well, then Ty Lue's going over the play, and Harden's like, oh, well, CP3 said this. Ty Lue's response was, F CP3, this is what we're doing. So, lack of respect. I'm kind of surprised from Lue. Apparently, maybe they just don't get along. I don't know what it is. But again, I just go back to the franchise. That was my first initial thought, was another negative story about the Clippers. And it's only at was it November at the time? December? Yeah. So it's like, man, the season is literally like a month and a half. And the Clippers have nothing good going on. If it's not Kawhi, Steve Ballmer, that whole thing. Now you got the Ty Lue somewhat connected to the gambling. They suck. And then you say, Chris Paul, all these things going on, but we're going to kick you. We're going to send you home because we don't want to hear from you.
So, and I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, because there had been a lot of the whispers about Chris Paul and him calling guys out in the locker room. And I respect that because he's naming names, and it was all done internally. None of these things came out about Chris Paul until after they sent him home, which is one of the glaring points that I want to make. Yeah. So if it was such a problem, we know how NBA locker rooms work. You just leak a little something to a reporter if you want to sully a guy's name to try to get ahead of the story. But the other interesting thing about this is the Clippers organization as a whole. And I know that you said it was a different roster at the time when he played there. But the Clippers front office was the same post Donald Sterling. Mm-hmm. So when Steve Ballmer and everybody came in, they knew what type of player they were bringing in. And I understand, like, Chris Paul's Chris Paul. He's always been like this. This isn't new.
Right.
So if anybody knew what type of player they were going to bring in that could disrupt the flow and the chemistry, it's like you bring in a vocal, undersized, Hall of Fame point guard when the best player on your team is a quiet forward that stays injured, who has allegedly been taking money off the books because he's got this special, cutaway deal with the owner. You brought this guy in willingly. You didn't have to sign him. Maybe you thought Chris Paul was going to come in and be quiet. You thought Chris Paul was going to come in and be okay with mediocrity. You thought that Chris Paul was going to come in and not call people out. And we can sit here and talk. And I understand the thing you're saying about Ty Lue and all that. But I'm going to say, let's just say that let's take whatever the negative press has been about Chris Paul. Let's take it and put it at 10. Let's put it at its absolute worst. Mm-hmm. He still doesn't deserve this. No. Period. Mm-hmm. Because the one thing that we know is that, and this is a guy who, wasn't he like the head of the Players Association? Yeah, like he's been a basketball first guy his entire career. And now all of a sudden you want me to think that he is the problem? Yeah. You want me to think that he's the bad guy in this when he's never shown it? And like you said, Kawhi, Harden, Steve Ballmer, Ty Lue, those guys have, let's just say, questionable characteristics about them at this moment. Yeah. We can talk about Harden and his lack of effort on the court, him crashing in games and poor fitness. We could talk about Kawhi, constantly being injured, cutting side deals with the owner. The owner, same thing, billionaire, all the money, all of that scandal. And then Ty Lue, literally in gambling involved scandals. But you want me to think that Chris Paul's the issue? Hell out of here. And I see a lot of former players, namely, I see Kendrick Perkins trying to get the buzz and, saying the stuff that CP3 was warned about, have his behavior, in quotes. He never went into specifics. Yeah. Tell me what CP3 was doing. What? Because he wants a higher standard as a basketball team? Yeah. Something's wrong with that? Y'all got a problem with that? Hell out of here, man. You know what? Maybe all of this worked out for the best. Because I think, and maybe you were trying to say this, Kent, and maybe I kind of took this, I grabbed this flame from you. But what I think you were trying to say is no matter how this washes out, this still makes Chris Paul look better than the Clippers ever will.
Yeah, they're trying to make him look bad. And by the way,
so
Lawrence
hard.
Frank, Ty Lue, when they get on a microphone.
Oh my God, I forgot about Lawrence Frank. I forgot about that asshole.
Yeah, they're lying out their teeth. Basically, anytime now I see, this is how I feel about the Clippers. Steve Ballmer used to be the fun owner, and you're like, oh yeah, man, I like that guy. Now when he talks, I don't believe him.
You roll your eyes.
Trust him. When Kawhi talks, I ain't trusted that dude in a while. But I don't trust him. I don't believe what he says because he's just denying everything. Now Ty Lue, I feel different about him. Lawrence Frank, because like you said, I don't come out of this thinking negatively about Chris Paul, and I've not always been the Chris Paul guy. Like I'm not a huge fan. Even though he's from North Carolina, I respect his game. I respect everything about that. He's just not been my guy, right? I mean, I just haven't.
And I agree with you there. I was an anti Chris Paul guy for a long time. I don't trust guys that hit guys in the nuts consistently. No. So I'm with you, but I mean, I got to cape up for him.
No, yeah.
This is one of these moments where everything that preceded Chris Paul as a professional basketball guy gets to, I don't care how stink this situation is, man. The 20 years before covers all that up. Yeah. And you're not going to lead me to believe that the they got the super team Avengers over there and Kawhi Ballmer, Lawrence Frank, Ty Lue, and James Harden, and then all of a sudden those guys are pristine, but not Chris Paul. Hell out of here, man. It ain't gonna work with me. And I'm glad it's not gonna work with you either, but it just it doesn't make a lot of sense, and maybe this works out for the best. I hope they do let Chris Paul go. And maybe, you know what, maybe send him to New Orleans. Maybe send him back to Charlotte and let him get that love and let him get that admiration in his final season that he deserves. He deserves that, and it stinks that they kind of took the wind out from under Chris Paul. I don't like it, man. It's a terrible look.
I would love for him to come to Charlotte and give some of his knowledge to LaMelo and these young guys. And know that, he knows he's not going to play a lot and produce a lot. Again, this is his final season. So, rather than New Orleans, because he may get a huge headache down there, too, with, the things they do. But Charlotte, at least, I think, is building a better culture organizationally, and Charles Lee with the team and the young group. So, I would rather him come to Charlotte, finish out at home in North Carolina, rather than, plug on to another team. I don't think he's ring chasing or nothing like that. He just wanted a nice send-off, man. And the Clippers screwed that up. And I think you mentioned, like, do they even retire his number now? Will it take years to mend this relationship? But it depends on who's in charge and who's in management.
Yeah, and I don't see it. And if I'm Chris Paul is going to be fine. Yeah. I'm pretty sure this hurts. I'm pretty sure this stings. And the smear campaign that they put out against him, trying to make him look like the bad guy in this situation, I think it's just them kind of grasping for straws. I think this ends well for Chris Paul, and hopefully he gets the send-off that he deserves. Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah. All right, that's another episode of Fanatically Speaking. I am Kent, the co-host and promoter.
I am Logoff, the Logoff legend, the hater of social media. I am the co-host and producer of the show. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Fanatically Speaking. Follow us on all of our socials, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Kent's been pretty active on there lately. Our podcasts are available everywhere, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Like, share, review, comment, send us stuff. Kent, what you got?
Yeah, that's the big thing. Again, we just keep pressing everybody. And we appreciate everyone who listens and all the interaction on social. But share it.
Engage.
Yeah, and if you're listening and you don't follow on social, go follow on social. Need those followers. Engage. Yeah, just get it out there and spread it. If you like it, tell someone. Tell them to listen. Tell them to look us up, follow us, and all that. Like I said, like, share, follow, comment, all that good stuff.
all that jazz. Yeah, and just look it up under Fanatically Speaking. It's on all of our pages.
Yep.
It's on the podcast. So yeah, just look it up and send it to whoever you know, whoever you think will enjoy us.
All right.
You good, man?
Good. Let's wrap.